Alright, pond fisherman here today. Talk to you about a few essential setups for pond fishing if you want to have a successful day out in a pond. Now, ponds like this, you never do know exactly what you have in there. So 3 successful tips to always remember when you go fishing is you need 3 rods. Rods I have with me today is my light action rod with just a line and a bobber. Now all this is just to catch any bait fish that's in the water. Next we have my bass rod. Now this is to catch bass that actively go. Right now I just have a little swim jig on, football head, and then my bait cat's my Auburn Sea Black Max. After that, and this is a medium heavy. Next we have my live bait rod. This is for catfish or anything that wants to hit live bait right here, with a decent sized chunky bobber, and then a decent amount of line on a TW5 reel. Now this is a medium rod. I honestly recommend heavy to extra heavy, just because you have to yank them things to really set the hooks. Then I have a rod holder. Now this guy, it's set up to hold 1 rod, 1 big rod, or you can set 2 rods, 1 here and then 1 here, facing 2 different ways. That's always key. And then obviously you have your pliers, knife, things like that. If you have those things, then you can have a very successful day out at a pond. You never know if there's catfish, gar, carp. You don't know exactly what's in these ponds. It's always a mystery. You don't know the sizes of these things. So those are the 4 key things that I will always have with me: is a bait rod, my main bass rod, and then my live bait rod, as well as a rod holder. Other than that, it's up to you. Peace. Let's talk about a good setup for a bait rod. Now this is a very light action rod with really light line. All you're going after is bluegill, things of that nature. I have on here an egg bobber, a little light dude. It's easy. Down here is where all the magic happens. I have a very light bullet weight and a worm with an average size with just a small little hook. Sometimes I like to go smaller, because you never know, but this works well for the most part. That with I have about a foot of a lead on here. That usually works. You'll have a very successful time catching bluegill, tilapia, perch, sunfish, whatever bait fish is in the water where you're fishing at. That would be a good setup to have. Peace. When I'm fishing for bait fish, what I tend to do is I'll have it set up in here, and I'll walk with my pole to a good distance, about 10 to 15 feet away from where I'm actively fishing, to over here, and I'll cast out here. I always keep it close to the bank, maybe 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 feet from the bank, sometimes 10, depending on what you have in water. If there's a lot of structure moving away from the bank, I'll feel confident in casting away from the bank. But in an area like this, there's not a lot of structure, so I'll only put it about 5 to 6 feet away from the bank, and then I'll cast it out right there, and I'll just walk with it all the way back to where all that trash, all the way back to where I'm actively fishing at. Set it up. They're not going to be scared to take it. They're not going to see me, so that's the best way to actively get hook setups.